The evolution of human transportation. In the earliest days, transportation was purely biological, our own 2 feet. For thousands of years, walking was the only method of travel, whether to hunt, gather, migrate, or explore. Over time, our ancestors developed tools and systems to move more efficiently. The earliest known innovations were simple yet transformative: dragging loads with branches, crafting rafts to float across rivers, and using sledges over snow. These primitive solutions marked the beginning of a long and continuous journey of transportation evolution. Around 4000 BCE, humanity took a giant leap. We domesticated animals like donkeys, horses, and camels. These creatures became partners in mobility, carrying people and goods across long distances, enabling trade, and expanding early civilizations. Camels, in particular, revolutionized desert travel, making possible the thriving trade routes of the Middle East and North Africa. Horses, swift and powerful, soon became symbols of speed and status across Eurasia. With the domestication of animals, movement became faster, more reliable, and more strategic. Then came one of the most influential inventions in human history: the wheel. Dating back to Mesopotamia around 3500 BCE, the wheel allowed the creation of carts and chariots. This turned transportation into a more efficient and scalable system. Early chariots changed warfare. Carts expanded agriculture and trade. Roads followed. Ancient civilizations, such as the Romans, built extensive road networks, some of which still exist today. These roads were the arteries of empires, enabling armies to march, goods to flow, and ideas to spread. For centuries, maritime transport also advanced in parallel. Dugout canoes evolved into sailing ships. The Phoenicians, Greeks, Chinese, and later the Vikings all pushed boundaries across rivers, seas, and eventually oceans. By the Middle Ages, sea transport had become crucial for trade. The age of exploration in the 15th century, fueled by ships and sails, connected continents and changed the course of human history. The seas were no longer barriers, they became highways. Still, most people traveled on foot, horseback, or by carriage, slow, vulnerable, and limited by terrain. That would change dramatically in the 19th century with the arrival of a mechanical marvel, the steam engine. In 1804, the first steam-powered locomotive took its inaugural trip. By mid-century, railways had crisscrossed Europe, North America, and parts of Asia. Trains were faster, stronger, and capable of transporting vast amounts of people and goods overland. Entire cities grew around rail stations. The Industrial Revolution was powered, quite literally, by trains and ships. Soon after, another revolution began, on wheels. In the late 1800s, the internal combustion engine emerged. This small but powerful invention led to the birth of the automobile. Early cars were noisy and unreliable, but they sparked a global transformation. When Henry Ford introduced the assembly line in 1913, cars became affordable for the average person. Roads expanded, suburbs sprawled, and societies began reshaping themselves around private vehicles. Freedom became a steering wheel and an open road. But we didn't stop there. The 20th century ushered in the age of flight. In 1903, the Wright brothers made their first successful flight, a fragile machine powered by ambition. Decades later, commercial aviation took off. What once took months could now be done in hours. From biplanes to jetliners, air travel shrunk the world, connecting cities, countries, and cultures like never before. Airports became new global hubs. The world was suddenly closer than ever. Public transit also evolved. Subways, trams, and buses became staples of growing cities, helping millions move every day. In some cities like Tokyo, New York, or Paris, urban transportation became a symbol of efficiency and design. Then, in the late 1900s, technology took the driver's seat. Maglev trains, which use magnetic levitation, began to reach speeds once thought impossible on land. High-speed rail lines connected distant cities across Europe, Japan, and China. Innovations in engineering and automation began to redefine how we think about mobility. And today, we are entering yet another phase. Electric vehicles are rapidly replacing fossil-fueled ones. Companies like Tesla, BYD, and others are making clean mobility a global priority. Autonomous vehicles, cars that drive themselves, are now being tested on our streets. And ride-sharing platforms have already changed how we think about car ownership. And smart infrastructure is beginning to respond to real-time data, adjusting traffic lights, charging cars on the move, and optimizing transit routes based on demand. Air travel is even shifting. Electric planes and drone taxis are no longer science fiction. Hyperloop technology, trains that travel in near vacuum tubes, is being explored as the next frontier in high-speed travel. But as we look forward, we must also look inward. Transportation has always been more than just movement. It shapes economies, affects the environment, and influences how we live and connect. The same systems that brought opportunity have also brought challenges: pollution, inequality, congestion, and climate change. So what's next? The future of transportation is not just about going faster. It's about going smarter, cleaner, and more inclusively. Cities are prioritizing cycling and walking again. Electric buses and green corridors are becoming part of everyday life. Mobility as a service, where apps allow seamless switching between bikes, trains, and cars, is redefining convenience. And perhaps most importantly, the idea of transportation is shifting from individual ownership to collective sustainability. From footpaths to flight paths, from wheels to wireless networks, we have come a long way. We've moved from the dusty roads of early civilizations to the digital highways of today. And as we imagine a world of flying cars, underground pods, and space travel, we must remember, transportation is not just about where we're going. It's also about how we get there and who gets to come along.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more history and technology content.